But to the story that's breaking at this moment, the DGCA, the Directorate General for Civil Aviation, has ordered now a fuel switch inspection for all Boeing aircraft. All airlines will conduct an inspection of engine fuel switches. July 21st, the deadline for completing fuel switch inspection. South Korea to order a Boeing fuel switch inspection. Etihad, the airlines from Abu Dhabi, has also asked pilots to exercise caution, inspect the fuel switch. So the fuel switch, which many believe is at the heart of the controversy over the AI 171 crash in Ahmedabad, now being looked at very, very carefully. Joining us now, Amit Bhardwaj, who covers civil aviation for us. Amit, can you tell us exactly what the DGCA has said?
Rajdeep, this also comes at a point in time when a certain section of the international media was putting forward the version as to how there's nothing to worry about Boeing Dreamliner craft, and that the AAIB report is sort of, or the FAA, AD, which is Airworthiness Directive, has been issued, a private directive has been issued because there is no reason to worry about the fuel switch, engine fuel switch of the Boeing. But that very day, the DGCA in India sends across a clear message to all the airline operators that the FAA, AD that was released back in December 2018 needs to be complied with. So the compliance has to be done, which means that all the airline operators in India, the crafts which have been registered in India, specifically the Boeing models. So this order will be implemented on the Boeing model crafts which have been registered in India, and that is around more than 24 models that are still operational in the country. So in these crafts, essentially, the engine fuel switches have to be inspected by the aircraft operators, and a thorough report in that regard has to be submitted to the DGCA by July 21st. So clearly, Boeing is not off the radar as far as inspection or compliance order is concerned here in India. Back to you.
Amit Bhardwaj reporting there on Boeing aircrafts now to be checked for their fuel switch. Appreciate you joining us. My first guest then is Captain Sam Thomas, President, Airline Pilots Association. Appreciate your joining us. Captain Thomas, why is the Commercial Pilots Association so angry with this report? What is it about this report that has left you all so infuriated?
Good evening, Rajdeep. Firstly, we knew all along, and this is not our first rodeo, so we knew all along what was happening, and that's what we were saying, that this would happen in this particular manner, and it happened exactly like that. The AAIB released a report that is unsigned in the middle of the night, insinuating certain actions by the pilots. It gives one line from the CVR that can be interpreted in any way, and more importantly, 2 days prior to the release of this report, the Wall Street Journal carried the exact same issue. So there has been a leak. There has been a marked absence of intelligence while decoding this data from the DFDR. And these are the reasons why we say that you should not speculate. But even though we were speculating prior to the release of this report, post this report, it has become even more sort of conducive to put in more speculation and usage of people claiming to be experts, not even having seen this picture of this 787, passing comments, irresponsible comments that have taken up by the foreign media, and they've gone to town with that to say that the Indian pilots are incompetent. That is why we are angry about it. And
there's a specific mention in that report that says both fuel switches on the Boeing 787 transition from run to cutoff 3 seconds after it took off from the runway. And it gives a paraphrase of what happened in the cockpit voice recorder, according to the report, where one pilot is heard asking the other, "Why did you cut off the fuel supply?" The other says he did not do so. thereby somewhere suggesting it could have been pilot error or done manually by the pilots. Is that what is angering you, that you believe there is insufficient evidence on which such speculation can be built, and this report, as you're saying, builds into this speculation? What do you therefore what according to you would you have preferred? Would you have preferred that all the entire transcript of the cockpit voice recorder be provided, what happened before and after the alleged switch of the fuel, the alleged cutoff of the fuel switch?
Absolutely. One point is the CVR complete data. We need the DFTR complete data, the ATC transcript, all put together in real time with timestamps is the only way you can come to a conclusion. Now, when you say that the fuel control switches transitioned, this is not an Indian term. This is not a term that Indians in Indian aviation use. This is predominantly an American term. I have flown in India extensively. I have flown in the US extensively. I hold both licenses. So I'm telling you that there is somebody who is telling this person that use these terms. So when you say transitioned, you don't know who transitioned it. Did the pilot transition it? Did the switch transition on its own? Or is there something else that you are referring to? See, a switch does not transition. A valve transitions. Since there is an absence of clarity and a lot of people not in the know of these technical terms, it's easy to get them mixed up, thereby causing more confusion in the traveling public and the public at large and scaring them even more.
Are you saying, therefore, someone is being protected here, Captain? Are you saying that by labeling it or making a suggestion of potential pirate error or even deliberate act, that somebody is trying to get the major players off the hook? A lot of speculation over Boeing's role itself. Is that what you're suggesting when you suggest that there is a foreign voice using terms like transition?
We have not yet come to that stage. That's a little away. That would be stage 2 and 3. We are in stage 1, where it's very evident that the investigating body does not have professionals. Taking people from the Indian Air Force, which does not deal with these kind of airplanes, and making them in charge of investigating these accidents is something that is not ideal in this scenario. And that was our request, to say that maintain them, but take us along. We are subject matter experts.
You're saying pilots must be, you're saying pilots, commercial pilots should be part of the investigating team. Am I correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because Rajdeep, there are so many terms and so many terminologies and actions that only pilots can interpret. No matter how well learned an engineer is, or how well learned a BCAS police officer is, he will not know what happened on that aircraft on that day. When we are given the scenario with these transcripts, it would be much easier for us to throw light on exactly what has happened without any speculation and give you reasons for why we are saying what we are saying.
Have you approached the Aircraft Accident Investigating Bureau demanding this, that commercial pilots should have been made part of the report, and have they responded?
I've made several attempts to reach out to them. One through emails. I know they are in receipt of my requests, but the old Indian way of sending a registered post acknowledgement due, I tried that and it was returned back to say that the CISF personnel at the AAIB are not willing to accept it. So I still continue to try. Our parent organization, FALPA, is in touch with them to say that, hey, listen, we have these guys in India who know a little bit about flying, so please use them. Or if you want us to come ourselves, we are ready to come. So it's not to put their job under the scrutiny. We are here to help.
Right.
We don't want another airplane to crash. That is the aim. So we must nip it in the bud, all this extracurricular arguments.
My final question to you: do you believe, what do you believe happened to flight AI 171, or you don't want to speculate?
Absolutely not, Rajdeep. Not me. No one in India or abroad, given the kind of limited information that is available, nobody can tell you definitively what has happened. I know 4 scenarios that could have happened. Now, everybody has speculated on everything. As a part of the curriculum that teaches us air accident investigation, you never ever speculate it. You've been on air for the last regarding this particular accident for the last 1 month. You see from where to where it went from flaps to bird hit to mad pilot to loss of thrust, engine failure, wrong engine being cut, flaps being selected incorrectly. So you see how when you speculate, you never go anywhere near the real
Okay.
issue. And that is what we want to avoid. And that's what we want to tell other so-called experts. Desist from making irresponsible statements. It portrays us in a poor light abroad.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there, Captain Sam Thomas of the Pilots Association. Appreciate you joining us and speaking so plainly. Captain Mohan Ranganathan now joins me. He's also someone who's an aviation safety expert and someone who's been speaking really in a manner that has provoked considerable controversy, Captain, if I may say so, because you have hinted, I'm using the word hinted, at suicide, and that this was possibly, that the fuel switch could not have been cut off unless it was manually done by one of the pilots. And this has caused a lot of consternation. You just heard Pilot Association heads saying, please don't speculate, this is very unfair. How would you respond?
First of all, I'm not speculating about the switch. The switch, the report says, was selected. They say transition, but we can split hairs on that word. But it has to be moved. If you look at the one thing that I agree with what Sam Thomas was saying, that what we need is the actual voice recorded transcript, not a paraphrased one-liner which says, did you do it? Why did you do it? And the response. They are trying to mix up the issues. But, if you go through the report, one thing was very clear, that the captain was the pilot monitoring and the co-pilot was the pilot flying. So in the Air India procedures, the pilot flying has his hands on the control column and the captain has his hands on the thrust levers until the takeoff decision speed, which is V1. And there is a call for 80 knots for a speed cross-check between the two PFTs, and the response will be checked. And the next will be an auto call-out, which will be V1. And then you have rotate and a positive rate, which will be given by the pilot monitoring. And the pilot flying will say gear up, and the pilot monitoring is supposed to take the gear up. Now that is the crucial point. If they had given the CVR transcript, which is every second, if that positive rate call was not there by the captain, the co-pilot is not going to ask for the gear up. We've all seen that the entire segment, the gear was hanging down. And if you look at the report, it says the liftoff was at 39 seconds. And it transitioned, where the switches come back, and the rat also came 3 seconds later. So the engine fuel switches are moved one by one to cutoff, and they are moved back to run 4 or 5 seconds later. But that is very crucial because first, was there a positive rate of climb call? If it was not there, the co-pilot is not going to ask for the gear up. So why was there no call? That would have indicated who missed out a call. The second point is, the captain's hand is on the thrust levers until V1, and it moves down. So only his hands are free enough. All the speculation about a software error and you are talking of electrical faults which can move. The switch cannot move. It has to be physically moved. That is why I said it is a human intervention. Without the human intervention, that switch cannot move from.
No, so you
run
maintain,
to-
even though Captain Ranganathan, there have been reports, including in the United States, where questions have been raised about Boeing's fuel switch getting disengaged. This was a 2018 report which cast questions over the fuel switch of the Boeings. You're saying it cannot be disengaged unless there is human intervention. Am I correct?
It doesn't slide back, Rajdeep. It has to be moved,
Can
pulled
it be
out and moved.
malfunctioning? Could it have been malfunctioning?
If it is malfunctioning, how did it move? The physical movement of the switch cannot be there unless it is moved physically. So that is what you're there. Now, if you look at the report, the first line in the next paragraph, they talk of the 218 circular, and
Yes.
the report says Air India did not do the maintenance, and they didn't consider it something which affected even FAA says that. And then the first line, it says it was not an issue for the accident. But the most important thing to notice here is when the fuel switches were moved back and then restarted, the 787 manual clearly says for a dual engine failure, the first action is both fuel switches to cut off. 1 second later, both switches back to run. And the next action is ram air turbine, press and hold for 1 second. It activates a ram air turbine. And the last line says speed 270 knots. They were at 180 knots at that point. So they did not have the third part. So, to say that they tried relighting, it is not possible. Then in an earlier segment, I was on another interview where one of the captains, he said that the squat switch, the gear was down because the squat switch was in the ground mode, and that prevents the gear from going up. But if you look at the report, it says that it moved to air mode at 49, 42 seconds of, I have to look at the figures exactly. It clearly says it was in air mode. So the question of the gear lever not being able to position the gear is out. So that fuel switch has definitely been physically moved, but it's only the CVR which, when there is
So you're saying, sir, I'm running out of time. You're saying that you need that complete recording of the CVR. Are we clear on that? That no one
100%.
should speculate till that CVR entire recording, what happened before and after?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is very, very essential.
Okay, let me leave it there, Captain. I appreciate you joining us because I think that's an important point to clarify, that until we have that full report, it would be unfair to speculate. Let me introduce those guests at the moment first, and then we'll take it forward as to exactly what could have happened in this investigation. I'm joined by Group Captain Aurobindo Handa. He's former Director General, Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. By Wing Commander Sharad Panikar. He's flown Boeing 787s for years at Air India. Vandana Singh is Chairperson Aviation Cargo. Thank you all very much for joining us, all three of you, on the show today. Let's go question by question, and then we can get a sense of what perhaps was the reason by the unanswered question. Fuel switch movement, deliberate, inadvertent, or electrical fault? This is now becoming the critical element. Why don't you start, Captain Panikar, because you're the one who's flown 787s. What's your sense given this report?
Okay, let's review the facts that are available to us at this point in time. The report says that the fuel control switches have transitioned from run to cutoff.
Yes.
And this has happened within a period of 1 second. Now, I've flown the aircraft for 10 years. I have a lot of experience on type. And I can tell you with a certain degree of authority that it is very, very difficult to reach for a switch. First, visualize the situation in the cockpit. The rotation has just happened. The pilot flying is looking out, concentrating on his takeoff. The pilot monitoring is also looking out, looking at other factors, momentarily glancing inside. Now, within 3 seconds of that liftoff, somebody has to take his eyes off from the situation outside, look within, identify a switch, move it, lift it up, and move it to the cutoff position. Thereafterwards, he has to move his hand to the other switch, identify it, lift it up. It's a spring-loaded switch, remember. Pick it up, and then move it to a cutoff position. And do this entire procedure within a period of 1 second. Physically, I would say that's near impossible. Second thing.
But the report says so, right? The report says within 3 seconds of takeoff, the fuel switch was cut off.
Yes. But the...
Could it have been disengaged by, could it have been a malfunctioning switch, or does it require, as Captain Ranganathan suggested, human intervention?
In my opinion, a human intervention was not there at all.
Was not there?
No. In my opinion, the timing of the DFDR, which says that the switches have transitioned from a run to a cutoff within a period of 1 second, is more indicative of an electrical signal, something that you can have for both the engines, just a signal going.
So you're saying an electrical failure more likely, Captain?
I would say you have to examine other factors as well, as to what are the other various things that are involved.
But you're ruling out human intervention in the moving of the switch?
I would say it's extremely, extremely unlikely.
Okay. Group Captain Aurobindo Handa, your view on that, on the fuel switch transition?
Jai Hind, everybody. To cut it short, I would like to agree with what the Wing Commander Panikkar has said. Human intervention over a period of 1 second, cutting off both the fuel supply cocks is nearly impossible. So we have to, the investigators, let us allow them to work. Let them, they will certainly, if we sitting here we can suggest that this is what should be done, this is what should be done. So honestly, the investigators they will also look at all the scenarios. So let us not discuss. This
fact is
because
the problem
another
is,
round of speculation has started.
The problem, if I may say so, is because of the nature of the report. The report, because it focuses on this particular so-called conversation in the cockpit, it has led to speculation. Should we have been either provided the entire transcript without this selective 2 lines?
Rajdeep, let me tell you one thing. I'll take 1 minute. Legally, as per our aircraft accident investigation rules, India is a sovereign country and we are not supposed to publish any report. I am doing it on your channel. It is a part of Annex 13. But Annex 13 is not, it is not mandatory that I copy everything. And our worthy predecessors who made this AIB rules, they have not incorporated that thing. But however, the top leadership in civil aviation and the country's leadership, they thought it wise because they were seized of the situation. So they thought it wise to come out with some information. Now people have started doing another round of speculation on that. Okay,
no, but
I'll finish at this level. Should you want a legal position?
Are you saying therefore, Captain, are you saying the report should have never been made public at this stage?
No. As per the rules, please listen to me. This is the legal position. As per the rules, suppose I do it, and there is no concurrence of my bosses, they will tell me under what authority you have published that report. Please understand, this is the other way around also. So I would request all the gurus who are on the channels to read AIB rules as of today, and don't speculate. So the country, the leadership has been very thoughtful of the grieving families, that they have come out with this report. Now everyone wants that this report should have been written like this. This report, A says it should be written like what I feel. B says it should have been written like this. Now I'll cut it short. I'll come down to that line on which Captain Mohan Ranganathan has made a story. I take that thing that the pilot says, I didn't. I would give credence to that fact. That when the pilot, when his co-pilot checks up with when, let's not say PF or PM, when one pilot checks up with the other, have you done this? He says, no, I haven't done it. So I would like to go with that he hasn't done it. It means there was a signal which has gone to the FedEx system. So let us work, let the investigators work on that. And by the way, they have not given clean chit to anything, neither to the engine, neither.
I've listened to you, sir. I've got your point. Vandana, you want to respond? Do you believe, as is being suggested?
1 minute, because...
Sir, just a minute. Captain, let me get one more voice in. Because the fact is that there are those who are saying that the nature of this report is bound to lead to speculation. The number of people who've died, this is a global story. How can you avoid the speculation if the report comes out in this very partial manner, ma'am?
Rajdeep,
absolutely.
1 minute, sir, I'm coming back to you.
Absolutely, Rajdeep. I totally agree with you over here that the manner in which the report has come out is very ambiguous. It's very sketchy, and therefore it raises all these concerns. And the concerns are that why is there just one pilot talking to other? There are just two sentences out there. Where is the entire, conversation?
Right.
What is the essence of the report? There is nothing there. We are seeing more questions coming out of it than answers. Agreed, it is a preliminary report, but then why take it out in this manner when nothing is coming out of it?
Okay.
When people there will be speculations from this. Obviously, there will be speculations. There will be angst from the pilots, because I do believe that this is also not human error. I also believe that this is a FedEx mandated miscommand, electrical software glitch, but it could be a factor that could be considered.
Okay. Let me therefore come to the second question. Were fuel switch locks on the aircraft checked for proper engagement? Captain Panika, you want to respond to that? I mean, there is this question which because of that 2018 report in the United States, which raised questions about the nature of Boeing 787s and Boeing flights in general, and whether a disengagement was possible. The 2018 Special Airworthiness Information Bulletin issued by the US Federal Administration spoke about the potential disengagement of the fuel control switch locking feature. And Air India did not carry out the non-mandatory inspections on it. Is that a factor?
Okay, let's examine again the facts. First is that Boeing, who is the original equipment manufacturer, as well as the FAA, have both examined the situation. They may have found some issue with some fuel control switches, and they've issued an awareness directive. It was non-mandatory, and it was agreed to by the regulatory authorities in the US.
And they've also clarified today that it does not affect the airworthiness of the plane.
Yes, but as a matter of abundant caution, I believe now the DGCA has issued a directive for all the operators, primarily the Boeing aircraft, using this particular type of switches. That would be the 737, the MAX, the 757, which I think Blue Dart is operating, as well as the 787, to carry out checks and see if everything is okay. Now, we must keep in mind that the directive was only advisory in nature.
Okay.
And I'm sure that if it was mandatory, there was no option for Air India but to carry out the full checks and record it as such.
Is that Group Captain Aurobindo Handa, according to you as a former director, Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, one of the fallouts of this, that all fuel switches will now have to be mandatorily checked in your view?
Rajdeep, I'll tell you about my Air Force experience. In Air Force, we do not take any chance on ejection seat and aero engines. So in 2018, when this bulletin had come, at that point of time, I have been repeating that their DGCA and the officers there, they should have called the chief pilots of all the airlines operating this aircraft and told them, and along with the officers in FSD, there are some 70 officers in FSD, in DGCA, they should have put their minds together, applied themselves, and come out with a solution whether it is to be done. And I'm telling you, if I were the DGCA at that point of time, I would have made it mandatory, because it was for the, in case there is any inadvertent frame out in air. So I wouldn't have taken a chance. Anyway, people can always say that everyone is wise in hindsight. So let's not go back in time. So let's be wiser for future. So if the DGCA has come out today with some checks, let us do it with right earnest, and let's move forward and wait for the investigation report to come. Yes.
So the full
Thank you very much.
investigation report, of course, will probably take a year. But Vandana Singh, do you believe in hindsight, many of these things, there is one impression that Boeing and Air India need to also be held more accountable in the manner that today the focus is entirely on the pilots, not on the airline, as well as, today the Air India CEO has come out and said that there is no evidence of any mechanical failure, we cannot be blamed. Boeing is also giving the impression that they are a hands-off approach. Does that get a sense that both Air India and Boeing are getting away without the final report being available yet?
Exactly, and that's what we are all seeing. Where are the stakeholders? Where is Air India's voice? Why are they not talking about what were they sleeping for the last 7 years? When the advisory came out in 2018, advisory also came out for a certain purpose. It didn't just come out just like that. So wasn't the advisory to be taken a little bit seriously? Weren't they to look at those switches? What about Boeing? What about Honeywell? What about the other stakeholders?
Now that we've lost.
What about the other stakeholders?
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay, let me turn to the next unanswered question. Why is there no comprehensive flight data recorder info? You want to go for that, Wing Commander Panikkar? Why is there no comprehensive flight data recorder? Should that entire cockpit video recorder voice recorder have been made available?
See, what the AIIB report has come out with is only a preliminary report. I would agree with Group Captain Handa that they have to just present facts. What this particular report has done is that it has lent itself to a certain degree of ambiguity because of the way in which the report has been worded. Like, for example, I will take a minute to just elaborate upon this. If you just take that one statement of this questioning, if I, as a pilot, am asking the other pilot, did you put that switch off? What does it mean? It means that I haven't put it off. I'm asking you. And you, who's flying, let's say, says, no, I've not put it off. So what is the normal logical interpretation of this? That neither of us have touched that switch. That's number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, whenever we look at time frame, it would have been useful, it would have been more, lent itself to clarity if this particular report had explained that at this particular point in time, this happened, this was the article, this was the switch position. At this particular time, this is what happened, this was the switch position, this is the clarity. And just for information, an aircraft engine relighting would imply that that switch, in whatever position it may have been, for the relight to take place, that particular switch is definitely in the run position. If that switch is in the off position, you can never have a relight. Let us be very clear on that. And the second aspect to it is, we have a cockpit voice recorder, which is very, very sensitive. It picks up even the slightest amount of noise. If we were to examine this cockpit voice recorder very carefully, enhance maybe the audio part of it, there is a definitive click which happens. I'm not sure if you can make it out with the ambient noise in the cockpit. Mm-hmm. About the switch being lifted, it's a slightly metallic click that comes when you pick it up, you move it, and you rest it back from run to cutoff. Perhaps this is another aspect that can be looked at. My main point out here is that take the timing of this transitioning between run and cutoff, that 1 second. It is more indicative of an electrical signal. For example, when the switch, my fuel control switch, is moved from cutoff to idle, there are several micro switches that are made contact with, which send signals to various aircraft systems. One of which, like Vandana has just covered, would be the FADEC. Again, the software, different spar valves, different fuel control valves. There is a spar valve, there's a fuel control valve, all of which make contact once a switch is moved into that run position.
Okay.
We have to examine these aspects as well. It is very convenient to say that, oh, it's a pilot. Everybody walks off after that, pilot errored. That old saying that dead men tell no tales. Extremely unfair, extremely premature. Let's find out as to what happened, how it happened, when it happened, and then pass judgment.
My final question then to you, Vandana, should a pilot be part of the investigation? Many believe, as you may have heard Captain Thomas also of the Pilots Association saying, we are the ones who fly the planes, we should be part of the investigation.
100%, Rajdeep. I do believe that the pilots should be a part of the investigation. And as we speak, and as I know, and what I've heard, currently there is no 787-8 pilot sitting out there who is qualified and who can actually speak. So yes, they should be a part of investigation. Having said that, I also believe that having the pilots from our armed forces, the Indian Air Force, is equally important. They should also be there. And here we have a captain here, Captain Panikkar, who's also from the Indian Air Force, as well as a 787-8 pilot. So it's okay to have the best of brains in there, and right now they are not there.
Okay.
So over to you.
Okay. Thank you both very much. Vandana, Wing Commander Panikkar, Group Captain Handa. I think the reason why we chose to focus on this today is because I think we wanted some clarity. There are lots of questions swirling around. We've avoided all the speculation that's been built around. But I believe it is important that the questions raised by this report are answered by those who have the expertise to do so. Needless speculation is unfair to the families, the individuals. It is irresponsible, and therefore, hopefully, someone out there will ensure greater clarity above all else. To all my guests, thank you very much for joining me on this very important and sensitive subject. Let's turn to tonight's Get Real India story. The Jal Jeevan mission, which was meant to bring clean drinking water to every rural household by 2024. But in Chhattisgarh, our investigation has uncovered a shocking reality. Taps are running dry, villages still remain parched. What then happened to the ambitious Jal Jeevan mission in Chhattisgarh? Take a look at tonight's Get Real India story.
अच्छा पाइप का है
ये अंदर से पाइप आया सर, अब इसमें कनेक्शन करना बाकी है.
In this village in Chhattisgarh, pipelines laid under the Jal Jeevan mission give no water. So villagers have found another use. They tie their cattle and goats to them. The central government's ambitious Jal Jeevan mission promised piped water to every rural home by 2024. Government records claim that more than 80% of the work has been completed, most of it between 2022 and 2024 under the previous Congress government. In Sarguja, according to government documents, only 14 out of 569 villages receive water through working taps. That's just 2.5% coverage. In many villages in central Chhattisgarh, pipelines are laid, but there's no source. Bijnapuri village, home to over 1,000 people, has only 2 functional water points. Yet official documents claim 100% coverage.
We have come all the way to Bijnapuri village, where number of taps were installed under the Jal Jeevan mission in the previous government, and in fact no water ever flowed from those taps. It is a typical paper-based scam that was executed by the previous Congress government. However, there is only little that has been done by this current BJP government to fix the damage. No audit, no accountability, only empty buckets and empty promises.
टंकी जैसे बना, टंकी बनने के बाद ना पूरा गली गली खोद करके पानी पाइप तो बिछा दिए, घर घर में वो चबूतरा भी बना दिया, लेकिन वो चबूतरा में पानी के नाम से एक बूंद भी नहीं गया है। महिलाएं 4 बजे उठ करके वहीं पे जाती है, 4 बजे से पानी भरते भरते 8-9 भी बज जाती है।
Women here say they wake up as early as 3 in the morning to fetch water.
3-4 साल हो गए, 3 बजे के उठे रहन, हमन हम खुदे पारी ऊपर पारी लगे रहन, गगरी हौला सब हम आढ़े रही है। तेदत के जन बोतल में दे हम लइका मुंह सुखा थे, हम तेकर बार नहीं मिले।
रोज वाद विवाद होता है इस चक्कर में?
रोज होते, रोज झगड़ा लड़ाई।
कितने बजे निकलती हो आप पानी लेने?
3 बजे निकलथन।
3 बजे
रात में? ते 8-9 बजे हो जाते।
The story is the same in villages like Domhatola in Rajnandgaon district.
नहीं, पानी नहीं आया है।
पानी नहीं आया। उम्मीद है कि आएगा?
पहले रहीस मैडम, अब तो 2-3 साल हो गए ना, पूरा सूखा पड़े है।
6 एग्जीक्यूटिव इंजीनियर को सस्पेंड किए, उनके खिलाफ डिपार्टमेंटल इंक्वायरी, 4 को शो का नोटिस दिया, अनेक कंपनियों को ब्लैकलिस्ट किया है, उनके काम को टर्मिनेट किया है, लगातार कार्यवाहियां हो रही है और हम उस काम को अब आगे बढ़ाने का काम कर रहे हैं।
Former Minister Guru Rudra Kumar blamed district officials for the tardy work.
हर एक घर में नल से जल आना चाहिए था। अगर आज की तारीख में नहीं आ रहा है तो निश्चित तौर पे आज की जो भाजपा की सरकार है, यह स्पष्ट नाकामी दर्शाती है।
With the 2024 deadline missed, will the new government investigate the spending, or will this too be buried under paperwork? With Sumi Keval Patel, Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, let's turn from there to tonight's good news story. I wish the good news story was cricket, but sadly India has lost that cliffhanger test at Lord's by just 22 runs, despite a remarkable effort by Ravindra Jadeja. So that's not our good news of the day. Had we won, I'm sure it would have been. Our good news instead is Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, who's returning to Earth after spending 18 days on board the International Space Station. The spacecraft is now expected to splash down in the Pacific Ocean off California at around 3 p.m. Indian Standard Time tomorrow. India Today tracks Shubhanshu Shukla's space odyssey as he prepares to return back to Earth. Take a look.
There on your screen, you're seeing a live look from the International Space Station.
Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla is all set for a ghar wapasi. After spending 18 days on board the International Space Station, the second Indian to ever be in space is finally set to return to Earth on Tuesday. At precisely 4:45 p.m. Indian Standard Time, the Dragon capsule of the Axiom Mission 4 undocked and began its journey back to Earth. After a 22-hour-long journey, Shuk, along with astronauts Peggy Whitson, Slavoj Wisniewski and Tibor Kapu, will splash down off the coast of California in the Pacific Ocean at around 3 p.m. on July 15th. Before bidding farewell to International Space Station, Shuk paid tribute to India from space.
It has been made amazing or incredible because of the...
Echoing the iconic statement by the man who conquered space before him, Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma.
ऊपर से भारत कैसा दिखता है आपको?
जी मैं बगैर किसी झिझक के कह सकता हूँ कि सारे जहां से अच्छा।
आज का भारत कॉन्फिडेंट दिखता है, आज का भारत गर्व से पूर्ण दिखता है और इन्हीं सब कारणों की वजह से मैं एक बार फिर से कह सकता हूँ कि आज का भारत अभी भी सारे जहां से अच्छा दिखता है।
A billion plus Indians are now eagerly awaiting Shuk's return, including his very proud family.
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है कि अब इतने दिनों के बाद बच्चा वापस आ रहा है, तो बहुत अच्छी फीलिंग है, बहुत ज़्यादा खुशी हो रही है बच्चे को वापस आने को सुन के।
बहुत अच्छी अनुभूति है, हम लोगों को बड़ी खुशी है कि उनका ये मिशन अच्छी तरह पूरा हो गया और आज अनडॉकिंग हो जाएगी तो कल ये वापसी की जो है।
वो हमेशा से बहुत इंक्विजिटिव रहे हैं, उनको बहुत सारी चीज़ें सीखने का मन करता है, तो उनको बहुत अच्छा लगता है। वो नई चीज़ें वो जो देख रहे थे वो उसको इतना एक्साइटमेंट के साथ हमसे शेयर कर रहे थे, हमको बता रहे थे कि देखो यहाँ मैं सोता हूँ, यहाँ मैं खाना खाता हूँ, इस विंडो से मुझे विजन दिखता है एंड ये मेरा वर्क प्लेस है। बहुत एक्साइटमेंट उनके चेहरे पर और वो खुशी दिख रही थी एंड ऑफ कोर्स वो एक्साइटमेंट जब वो किसी बच्चे में रहेगा तो उसकी फैमिली मेंबर्स को तो अच्छा लगेगा ही लगेगा।
Among ISRO's chosen Gaganyaan candidates, Shuk's journey was part of a private mission. But his success marks a huge leap for India's manned spaceflight program. Bureau Report, India Today.
And we wish the captain a safe return back home. Let me leave you with two images tonight. The first one, Omar Abdullah, the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, scaling a graveyard wall, confronting the police of his own state of Jammu and Kashmir amidst the Martyrs' Day row in Kashmir. Abdullah paid tributes to protesters shot dead by Maharaja Hari Singh Dogra's forces in 1931, but not without some controversy, because he was pushed and jostled and eventually forced to climb a wall before he could reach the graveyard. Completely unfortunate incident, not the way you treat a chief minister of a state.